Most people are not stuck in sugar burning because they lack discipline. They are stuck because their body has been trained to expect fast fuel on demand. So when glucose drops, the brain does not calmly reach for stored fat. It sends a louder message: eat something quick, or we have a problem. That is why you can carry thousands of calories as body fat and still feel hungry, foggy, shaky, or drained. It feels irrational, like owning a full pantry, but panicking because one snack drawer is empty. You look at your body and think, why won't you use what you already have? But biology does not run on frustration. It runs on signals. Here is the counterintuitive part. The goal is not to bully your body into burning fat by suffering harder. The goal is to stop sending the signals that keep it locked onto sugar. Because your metabolism is not just a calorie calculator. It is a survival system listening for instructions. Every sweet drink, every snack, every constant bite can keep insulin rising and falling. Every blood sugar crash can teach your brain to demand another quick hit of glucose. Every stressful fast, sleepless night, or caffeine, glucose rises, insulin rises, stored fuel stays harder to access. Glycogen stays full, fat burning stays delayed. Stress rises, cortisol tells the liver to release more glucose, and the sugar cycle starts all over again. But once you understand the sequence, the whole problem becomes less mysterious. You can create clean gaps between meals so insulin has time to fall. You can drain stored sugar with walking and resistance training. You can protect sleep and calm stress so your brain stops demanding emergency fuel. This is not about chasing a perfect diet or turning every day into a willpower contest. It is about changing the message your body receives, one signal at a time. When the signal changes, the fuel pattern can change. And when the fuel pattern changes, energy becomes steadier, cravings become quieter, and stored fat becomes more available. So before we talk about fat burning, we have to answer the question almost nobody explains clearly. Why does your body keep asking for sugar when it already has so much energy stored? That question is the first door into the entire mystery. And once it opens, you will never look at hunger, cravings, or body fat the same way again. You can have enough stored energy on your body to walk for days, yet still feel shaky if lunch is late by 1 hour. That is the part that feels unfair, almost insulting. Your body owns a full fuel reserve, but keeps begging for sugar like the pantry is empty. So most people assume something is wrong with them. They think their metabolism is broken, their willpower is weak, or their cravings are some kind of character flaw. They look at belly fat in the mirror and wonder, why can't my body just use that? But the body doesn't use fuel based on what you wish it would use. It uses what it can reach fastest. When you eat frequent carbohydrates, sip calories, snack between meals, or ride blood sugar waves all day, your brain gets trained to expect quick glucose, the fast-burning fuel already floating in the bloodstream. Each rise in blood sugar brings insulin, and insulin tells the body, use this incoming energy first. So even though fat is available, your system keeps reaching for the easy fuel it has practiced using. Think of glucose like cash in your pocket, and body fat like money locked in a savings account. If cash keeps appearing every couple of hours, your body has no reason to visit the bank. It just keeps spending what is right in front of it, even if the savings account is huge. And when the cash runs low, your brain doesn't calmly say, let's switch fuels. It says, find sugar now. That is why a person can eat breakfast, drink a sweet coffee, grab a granola bar, and still crash by mid-afternoon. Their blood sugar rises, insulin rises, energy feels good for a moment. Then the drop comes. Suddenly they're tired, foggy, irritable, and staring at the vending machine like it has spiritual answers. The problem isn't that they lack energy. The problem is that their body is dependent on the quickest form of it. The first practical shift is not to torture yourself with hunger. It is to stop constantly sending the signal that fast fuel is always coming. That means replacing sugary drinks with water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea, and building real meals with protein like eggs, chicken, salmon, Greek yogurt, lean beef, tofu, or legumes. Then you create clean spaces between meals, so your body can begin remembering that stored fuel exists. This is where the rare part of the puzzle shows up. Hunger is not always true emptiness. Sometimes it is a fuel transition alarm. Your body is so used to burning glucose that the moment glucose dips, the brain interprets it as danger, even while fat stores are sitting there quietly like a backup battery. Metabolic flexibility is the skill of moving between fuels without panic, cravings, or a crash. But your body won't build that skill while the storage signal keeps getting restarted. Every bite, every sweet drink, every innocent handful of crackers can tell the system to stay in sugar-burning mode a little longer. So the real question becomes, what signal decides whether energy gets stored or released? And that leads to the first major switch most people never understand: insulin. Here's where the whole story starts to change. Your body is not refusing to burn fat because it hates you. It is waiting for the chemical permission slip that says stored energy can leave. And for many people, that permission never arrives for long enough to matter. Most people think fat loss is only about burning more calories, so they push harder, eat less, count tighter, and wonder why their cravings get louder. But calories are only the amount of energy in the system. Hormones decide whether that energy gets stored, released, or trapped behind closed doors. Insulin is one of the main signals controlling that door. When insulin is high, your body is dealing with incoming fuel, especially glucose from carbohydrates or sugar. It tells cells to absorb energy, tells the liver to store extra glucose, and tells fat cells to hold on. When insulin falls, picture your fat cells like storage units with a security gate in front. Insulin is the guard who keeps saying, "Not yet, we still have deliveries coming in." Every snack, sweet drink, or little bite can make that guard stand back up. Lower insulin does not burn the fat by magic, but it does open the gate. Think about someone who eats a healthy breakfast, then a protein bar, then a latte, then a few bites while cooking dinner. None of those moments may look dramatic on their own, but biologically, each one can restart the message that food is still arriving. The body never gets a clean stretch where it has to ask, should we pull from storage now? The practical move is to create longer gaps where insulin can calm down. For many healthy adults, that may mean eating satisfying meals instead of grazing all day. A meal could be eggs with avocado, chicken with vegetables, Greek yogurt with nuts, tofu with greens, or salmon with beans. Then between meals, keep the gap clean with water, plain coffee, or unsweetened tea instead of tiny calorie leaks. This is the part most people completely miss. Lowering insulin is not the same as starving yourself. If your meals are too small, low in protein, or emotionally miserable, stress can rise, and cravings can come roaring back. The goal is not punishment, it is giving the body a clear signal. But opening the storage gate is only the first step. Even when fat cells start releasing fuel, your body may still prefer the sugar it has already packed away. There is a short-term fuel tank sitting in your liver and muscles, and it has to be lowered before fat burning feels easier. And once you understand that tank, the slow switch from sugar to fat finally starts to make sense. This is where many people get discouraged too early. They skip one meal, feel hungry, and assume fat burning should immediately take over. But your body does not jump straight from breakfast cereal to belly fat like flipping a light switch. It follows a fuel sequence, and that sequence matters more than most people realize. The common mistake is expecting stored fat to be the first fuel your body reaches for. So when energy dips after a short fast, people think the method failed. They say, "I tried fasting, but I just got tired and cranky." What they missed is that their body was still working through the sugar it had already stored. Your liver and muscles store glucose in a form called glycogen. Glycogen is like packed away sugar, saved for quick access when your body needs energy. Your liver uses it to keep blood sugar steady, while your muscles use it during movement and effort. As long as that tank is full and constantly refilled, imagine your body as a house with two energy systems. Glycogen is the small generator in the garage, easy to start and ready right away. Body fat is the huge backup power station outside, powerful but slower to access. If the little generator keeps getting topped off, the big power station stays quiet. This explains why a person can eat lower calories for a day and still feel like nothing has changed. If dinner was high in starch, dessert added sugar, and breakfast came early the next morning, the glycogen tank never dropped much. The body simply burned through incoming glucose and stored sugar, then asked for more when that quick fuel dipped. That is the classic loop. Eat sugar, burn sugar, crave sugar. A practical way to lower that tank is not extreme suffering. It is consistency with clean fasting windows, fewer sugary meals, and real time between meals. For many healthy adults, this could mean finishing dinner earlier, avoiding late-night snacks, and letting breakfast come only when true hunger appears. If someone has diabetes, takes glucose-lowering medication, is pregnant, nursing, or has a history of eating disorders, major fasting changes should be discussed with a qualified professional. Here is the deeper insight. Fat burning often feels difficult at first because your body has not practiced the machinery. It needs enzymes, mitochondrial activity, and hormonal quiet to shift from quick glucose to slower fatty acids. When glycogen begins to drop, the body has a reason to increase fat release and fat oxidation. That is when the backup battery stops being decoration and starts becoming usable energy. But there is a smarter way to drain the tank than just waiting longer and feeling miserable. Your muscles can pull glucose out of storage and out of the bloodstream, like opening a drain at the bottom of the system. That means movement can speed up the transition without turning every meal gap into a battle. And once you understand how muscles do this, fat burning becomes much less mysterious. This is where the switch gets practical, because your muscles are not just for looking strong, climbing stairs, or carrying groceries in one heroic trip. They are living fuel tanks that can change what your body burns all day. The mistake is thinking fat burning depends only on eating less. So a person fasts harder, cuts more food, stays glued to a chair, and wonders why cravings still bark at them by 4 p.m. But a sedentary body has fewer places for glucose to go. When muscles are quiet, sugar hangs around longer, insulin has to work harder, and fat release stays more restricted. When you walk, your muscles contract again and again in a gentle rhythm. Those contractions increase energy demand and help pull glucose from the blood into muscle cells. After meals, this can reduce the size of the glucose wave, so the pancreas does not need to shout as loudly with insulin. During low insulin windows, walking encourages the body to use more stored fuel because quick incoming energy is not available. Think of walking as opening a metabolic drain. After a meal, glucose is like water rising in a sink, and insulin is the plumber trying to keep it from spilling over. But when your leg muscles start moving, the drain opens from underneath. Sugar leaves the bloodstream more smoothly, and the whole system becomes calmer. Imagine someone who eats dinner and then collapses on the couch for 3 hours. Blood sugar rises, insulin rises, digestion slows, and the body stays. Now imagine that same meal followed by a 10 to 20-minute walk at a pace where breathing is slightly elevated but conversation is still possible. The meal is the same, but the biological message is completely different. Resistance training adds another layer. When you lift weights, use machines, do push-ups, squats, rows, or resistance bands, your muscles burn through some stored glycogen. Afterward, those muscles become more hungry to refill their tanks, which improves insulin sensitivity. 2 or 3 focused sessions a week can teach your body to park glucose in muscle instead of leaving it in the bloodstream. Here is the deeper insight most people never hear clearly. Muscle is not just tissue, it is metabolic real estate. The more active muscle you have, the more space your body has to store glucose safely, and the less pressure there is to keep insulin high. That is why strength training is not only about calories burned during the workout. It changes how your body handles fuel later. But there is one hidden trap most people never see coming. You can lower insulin, drain glycogen, walk daily, and lift consistently, yet still feel trapped in cravings if your body feels threatened. Because when stress, poor sleep, too much caffeine, or brutal workouts push the alarm system too high, the brain starts demanding emergency sugar again. And that is where the final piece of the fat-burning switch becomes impossible to ignore. This is the part where the usual advice starts to fall apart, because you can do almost everything right on paper and still feel like your body is fighting back. You can cut sugar, space meals, walk, lift, and still end up staring into the kitchen at night. Not because you are weak, but because your brain may think quick sugar is a survival tool. The common mistake is trying to force fat burning harder when the body is already under pressure. People fast longer, drink more caffeine, train more aggressively, and sleep less because they want faster results. But to the nervous system, that can feel less like discipline and more like an emergency. And when the body feels unsafe, it does not politely ask for salmon and broccoli. It screams for fast fuel. Stress hormones can raise blood glucose, even when you have not eaten sugar. Cortisol tells the liver, your internal chemical factory, to release glucose into the bloodstream for action. That glucose can raise insulin, and insulin can slow the release of fat from fat cells. So the chain becomes stress, cortisol, liver glucose release, insulin response, and then the fat cells stay harder to access. Think of cortisol as the alarm system in a building. A short alarm is useful because it gets everyone moving when there is a real threat. But if the alarm rings all day, the building stops repairing, cleaning, and calmly using stored resources. Your body starts acting like danger is nearby, even if the only predator is a deadline, a bad night of sleep, and 3 coffees. Picture someone who skips breakfast, pounds coffee, rushes through work, does a brutal workout, and then tries to stay strong through dinner. By evening, their blood sugar feels unstable, their brain is exhausted, and cravings, they think the craving means they failed the plan. But biologically, the plan may have stacked fasting, stress, caffeine, and intensity into one giant alarm signal. The practical answer is to build the switch in sequence, not through punishment. Start with protein-focused meals, such as eggs, chicken, salmon, Greek yogurt, lean beef, tofu, or legumes. so the body receives real building material. Stop grazing. Create clean gaps between meals. Walk 10 to 20 minutes after meals or during low insulin windows. And lift. Then protect sleep by dimming lights, reducing late-night screens, cutting caffeine earlier, and giving your nervous system a slower landing before bed. Here is the deeper insight. Fat burning works best when the body receives two messages at the same time. The first message is low insulin, which says, incoming fuel has stopped, so stored fuel can be released. The second message is safety, which says, we are not in danger, so we do not need emergency sugar. When those two signals overlap, your metabolism can stop panicking and start becoming flexible again. Once you understand this, sugar burning is no longer a character flaw. It is a fuel pattern your body learned from repeated signals, and patterns can be retrained. The goal is not to bully your body into fat burning, but to change the conditions that make fat burning feel possible. And when that finally clicks, the entire story of hunger, cravings, insulin, movement, and stress starts to look different. Your body was never broken because it preferred sugar. It was simply following the strongest signals it received. Frequent fuel told it to keep burning what was easy. Low movement, stress, poor sleep, and constant insulin told stored fat to stay protected. Once you see that, the entire problem becomes less personal. Cravings are not proof that you are weak. Energy crashes are not proof that your metabolism has failed. They are messages from a system that learned to depend on quick-burning fuel. The real shift begins when you stop fighting the body and start changing the signal. A protein-focused meal tells the body it has building material. A clean gap between meals lets insulin settle down. A walk tells the muscles to pull sugar out of circulation. Then resistance training gives glucose a better place to go. Sleep gives the repair crew time to lower the alarm. Less late-night stimulation tells the nervous system that the danger has passed. And slowly, the body remembers how to reach for the backup battery. This does not have to be extreme. For many healthy adults, it can start with one cleaner meal gap, one short walk after dinner, or one earlier cutoff for caffeine. It can be 10 minutes outside in the morning, more protein at breakfast. Small signals, repeated often, can become a new biological pattern. So ask yourself this: which signal has your body been receiving every single day? Has it been hearing safety, rhythm, movement, and nourishment? Or has it been hearing hurry, snacks, stress, caffeine, and emergency sugar? And have you been fighting your body when what it really needed was a different message? Tell me in the comments which habit you are going to test first. Will it be the clean meal gap, the after-meal walk, the strength training, the sleep reset, or the stress signal? Your answer may show you exactly where your metabolism has been asking for help, and it may help someone else realize they are not alone in the same pattern. If this helped you understand your body in a way that finally makes sense, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications, because the next lessons will keep connecting these hidden biological patterns. The more you understand the signals, the less mysterious your body becomes. Your body is not your enemy. It is a survival machine, waiting for clearer instruction. If you feel like your body is constantly stuck in alert mode, with poor sleep, fatigue, untimely hunger, and stubborn abdominal fat, I've prepared the complete Cortisol Reset bundle. Inside, you'll receive the main guide, the Cortisol Reset, plus 2 bonuses: low nighttime cortisol protocol and cortisol, insulin, and abdominal fat. The link is in the description.